Welcome to University, a podcast for young people navigating life's big transitions. I'm Annmarie and your host. On University, you'll hear stories from college students. You'll get tips from experts. And occasionally, you'll hear from a parent's perspective on how to manage this time of change in your life consciously. Find yourself, find your purpose, find your people, and pursue you fearlessly. Hey, Adam.
Hey, Annmarie.
We want to talk about Ashwat?
Ashwat was such a great interview. I knew the minute that I started listening to him to edit him, I texted you and I said, I'm going to love this interview.
I know. What made you think you were going to love it off the bat?
Okay, so Ashwat felt very light to me right away. I knew I was going to gain a lot of perspective from listening to him as well. He moved here from India to a new city, a new situation, and he felt like he was just going to give me a lot of really good perspective about transitions.
Well, that was the whole thing. This month is all about transitions. Many students are transitioning to their first year of college or freshman year or new place, or you're transitioning to sophomore, junior, senior year, or you're graduating and transitioning to job. So lots of transitions going on right now. And having just moved Alyssa into her dorm in New York City, transitions are big on my mind. Mm-hmm. And seeing all of these students sort of like deers in headlights, walking through their dorms, walking through the city, trying to figure things out. But I kept thinking about him because he moved from another country without any family, with nobody's here to support him. I'm moving one state to the next. I can hop on an airplane and be in New York in 2 hours. He moved his entire life, and it just felt to me like it was extraordinarily courageous. But one of the things that I love that you said is how light he is and how easeful he is about the transition.
Yeah, he looks at the transitions, and what I took away from it immediately, right off the bat, is how he sets himself up to transition in the most easeful way.
Yeah, and what I noticed is his mindset. He doesn't bog himself down with stressing himself out. It doesn't mean he doesn't experience overwhelm, he doesn't experience fear, he doesn't have all those things. It means he doesn't get swept up in them and allow them to control him. He
said something early on where he was like, I didn't come to this new country and come to Washington and go, I need 10 new friends this week. He was like, I need 1 new friend.
Incremental.
And that stuck to me because oftentimes when people are transitioning, especially I remember transitioning to a new apartment in college or a new dorm, a new lifestyle, I was like, okay, I just want my routine to be set by tomorrow. And it's that's always evolving and that's always in transition. So to expect it to just be set after 25 minutes of being where you're at is setting yourself up for anxiety and stress.
Yeah. And he says in there that sometimes you have to wait for years for things to happen. And I think he talks about how Gen Z needs things immediately. And I want to point to that for a minute here because transitions are uncomfortable.
That's just what they are.
That's just what they are. And the more you accept that, and the more you understand that, and the more you go into it expecting to be uncomfortable, mm-hmm. the better off you are. And we talked about this earlier, and we've talked about this many times before, but it's about, sort of welcoming what's going on without resisting it. So if I know that I'm going to be uncomfortable, let's not try and avoid being uncomfortable.
Or control how you feel when you are uncomfortable.
Yeah, this is all about control. We want to control our experiences. Mm-hmm. We want to control it so that we're not uncomfortable. And we're going to flip that upside down. And we're going to say, no, we don't want to control being uncomfortable. We want to welcome being uncomfortable because it's part of the process.
It just is.
It just is.
Yeah.
You can't make it something it's not. So stop trying to make it something it's not. Just let it be what it is, which is uncomfortable.
transitions happen. I like that, like, this is the month of transition, because even if you're not in school, it feels like this is when people start jobs. It feels like this is when things are happening. This is when people move from apartment to apartment because their lease is up.
We're transitioning from summer to fall.
New projects come up in jobs. It feels like this is when people go, okay, summer vacation's over. Like, it's funny how the school year kind of dictates the way the whole world or the whole country feels, you know? But it is that way. And so any little thing like that is a transition. You don't have to move from India to a new city. A transition in your job, a transition in your commute, a road closure, or roads now open, or whatever it is. Like, those are all transitions, and there are ways to approach them and set yourself up to, I mean, it's about to move through it easily. The expectation is such a big deal to me. And that's where he sets himself up to move through things.
I'm looking at you in my office right now with the door behind you, and then there's this tree, and I just had this fun analogy pop into my head. It may not work, because you know how I sometimes am with my analogies. Sometimes.
I don't like editing things too, so if this doesn't work, we're going to just let her just like...
It's just going to be a bomb.
It's just going to be on there.
It might be a fail. But, so here's the thing. Imagine being a tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And trees go through the seasons, and they lose their leaves in the fall, and they, go dormant in the winter, and then...
They change colors, and then they bud.
Yeah,
right.
New buds arise in the spring, and then they sort of bloom. Everyone loves the summer. And it's the same for us. Like, imagine if the tree started resisting the leaves falling.
Yeah.
Like, trying to hold on to the leaves.
How stressful would that be for that tree?
Yeah, like, it's just part of the process. And, it just, the leaves just fall. And then the leaves come back again.
And it's important to notice those patterns in your life.
Yeah.
Like, just notice them. Like,
seasons of your life.
I'm cranky in September. I don't know. That's just...
Or I'm cranky during transitions.
I'm cranky during transitions. And transitions typically happen in September. And, there's ways to then be aware. And then there's ways to make decisions around your transitions to have the experience that you prefer and that you desire.
Yeah, so, there's always a new beginning. There's always a new beginning. So my invitation to everyone out there who is transitioning in a big or small way is welcome the discomfort. Welcome the uncomfortable feelings that come with transition. It's part of the human experience. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with you. This isn't a problem. Do your best.
There's nothing to fix.
There's nothing to fix or change. Just let it be.
I mean, you can't fix it.
But the one way it can be more easeful is if you don't resist it.
Right.
So I'm uncomfortable. Wow, I'm just going to be with I'm uncomfortable. Life isn't always just joy, comfort, ease, and flow. So it's easeful when you allow what is to be without resisting it.
And my invitation through what I learned, by listening to Ashwat about transitions, is Annmarie's very good at being that is tough work to get to, and it's sometimes when I hear you say that, I'm overwhelmed myself, because it's hard to welcome that stuff, and then I'm like, okay, cool, I welcomed it, now what? Okay, it's welcomed, so now when does it go away? When do I fix it?
Okay, stay there.
Yeah.
So you're not really welcoming it.
Yeah, I am.
You're saying
it's welcomed.
Welcome, go away.
Cool. Yeah, okay. It's here, now what?
So think about it like this. Think about someone's at your door, ringing your doorbell, and it's like your crazy aunt that you don't really want to hang out with, right? She drives you nutty, or I don't know. I mean, you all have some crazy person in your life. I know I'm crazy, Adam. I'm your crazy aunt, and you don't want to let me in, right? Mm-hmm. So it's or someone that you're not necessarily excited to be spending time with, but they're insisting on being there. So they're knocking on the door, they're ringing the doorbell, knocking on the door, and you keep pushing them away, or you're putting headphones on, or you're walking away, or you're doing everything you can to ignore them, and they're not going anywhere. Mm-hmm. But the minute you open the door and really let them in, your fear is, oh my God, they're never going to go away. But
they can't go away until you open the door.
yeah, you got to fully welcome. Now the example you just gave was like, okay, I welcome them.
Now what? Right.
What? But that's like opening the door a little bit and looking out, saying, what do you want?
The now what part, though, right? Like, it's like...
But the now what is just like, wow, this is really uncomfortable. I really don't want to spend time with this person, or I really don't want to feel this uncomfortable, or I really don't want to be, in this situation.
Sucks.
This sucks.
Ugh.
And I'm going to let it suck. I'm not going to try and shop it away or drink it away or drug it away or think it away or do it away.
My day's just gonna suck today.
Not even my day. This moment.
This moment's just gonna suck today.
This moment sucks right now. There's nothing wrong with me. Most of us end up thinking there's something wrong with me because I'm not feeling good. Like, if I wasn't bad or wrong, I wouldn't be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that person over there looks totally fine. They don't look overwhelmed. So let's jump into comparing, because Ashwat talked a little bit about this too. He said, stop comparing yourself to others. Like, if you've made progress, if you've moved forward somehow in your life, it doesn't matter if you're catching up to the guy next door. It's just, have you evolved in the past year? So part of overwhelm, or part of the resistance, is when we start comparing ourselves to others, thinking we need to be more like them in some way, shape, or form. So, I don't know. That's all I have to say about that.
It's just a lot. That's heavy work, right? Okay, so I want to honor that that's heavy work. I want to honor that I'm like overwhelmed by all that.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also want to bring it back to where I was going to give an invitation.
Okay.
On transition. I want to invite everyone to also learn from Ashwat in how he transitioned. There's no big or small transition. Everyone's transition is big to them, or whatever, right? It just is a transition. So, when you're transitioning this month, moving, changing relationships, transitioning out of a friendship,
new job,
new like wardrobe, like whatever
new classes.
Yes, new classes, yes. Whatever those transitions are, set yourself up. Your expectations are vitally important. And I invite you to forgive yourself for not meeting every idealized expectation in your vision of how this transition should go. Transitions are messy. Transitions are give and take. Transitions are learning. So he sets himself up and goes, I'm not going to transition countries, not really know even how they measure things, not even know their currency, and then go, I'm going to have 20 friends the first week and go to 15 parties. He's like, I'm going to get one friend.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk to one person this week. And that sets himself up to go home and go, cool, I did that today.
You set yourself up to feel good about yourself because you accomplished something realistic.
Realistically set yourself up to go towards a transition in a more easeful way. Right or wrong way, there's no right or wrong way, but set yourself up. And I invite you to forgive yourself for not setting those expectations to the elitist point that you label them as.
Yeah, you don't set unrealistic expectations. Just go be easy on yourself and know yourself.
Yeah.
Because you have to know what works for you.
Your capacity for the day and change and I remember I was transitioning my cable service last week. And it was Sunday night and I was kind of sick and I had to go to work the next day and all that stuff, and I decided to start that project at 4:00. Instead of just waiting 12 hours or 24 hours, I decided to start it then. And the project took me twice as long as it probably should have, and I was frustrated and all that stuff. But the next day, I left one thing to do the next day. That took me 20 minutes to try and figure out, and then the next day it took me 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. When we set our expectations too high and push ourselves too much, we end up, quote unquote, failing and not getting the results we want, and then we beat ourselves up, and it becomes this spirally, loopy thing.
Yeah, and you set yourself up to fail. So then he talked about fail a lot.
Yeah, well, I like what he said about failure, because he talks about the failure is just an opportunity to learn.
Yeah.
And every failure is a step forward in your evolution.
Yeah.
And this is really important to me, because we have this paradigm about failure, like failure is a problem. Don't fail, don't fail, don't fail. We have a grade system on failure. Like, if you fail, you don't get something.
Yeah.
So
if you get 6 out of 10 correct, you're a failure.
Yes, it's ridiculous. So if you start to think, like, I've always said to my kids, like, oh, great, now you know what you don't know. Like, now you have an opportunity to learn what you don't know. That's an opportunity to learn. So this idea of using failure to learn about yourself and learn about what you want and move forward, I think is super important.
Yeah, like, the way we evolve and grow, it's inevitable that we are taking steps forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, that's the way our lives just are. And so if I get existential for a second, like, when it's the best word I can use is inevitable. We are inevitably moving forward. Mm-hmm. It's, even if we feel like we're going backwards or blind in the way we're moving, or like all that, we get older every single minute, every second. We go towards something, and we may not know what that is, and most of us don't. I mean, honestly, like, what are we moving towards, right? Like, that's as existential as I can get here, but we are moving forward.
Yeah, there's a couple students that I've been working with recently who've decided to not go back to school, and they're really struggling with...
is that like a stalling? Am I moving?
Failure.
Right.
A failure. I failed. I'm moving backwards. Everyone else is, farther along in their whatever. And we've been really talking about, like, this is great information. Like, this is great. Like, even Ashwath, who said he didn't get into his desired school. He didn't get to Stanford. So he took a gap semester to collect himself, learn about himself, figure out what he really wanted, so that he was in a better position to move forward with clarity. So, he may have seen that not getting into Stanford was a failure. However,
initially that might be where he was. I mean, he emailed them saying, I'm going to email you every day for the next 3 months until you let me in.
Yeah.
And then they said, don't do that.
Yeah. And he was like, all right.
Moving
on.
That's what he needed to do. And he honored that in himself, too. Like, I think that's beautiful to go, okay, I hear you're saying no. I need this for myself.
Yeah, I'm going to do this
thing. And now I really know it's a no for what I needed. Some people would have been like, oh, that's a no, and they move different direction.
Yeah, and then what he said is, if you obsess about it, you're going to just hold yourself back. But if you double down and focus on moving forward...
Where's the energy going?
Yeah, where's your energy going? You can move towards what's going to really make you happy. You could sit there and obsess forever. I didn't get into Stanford.
And change your email every day and, like, spend an hour on it every day for the next 3 months. And instead he spent his energy towards a different direction.
Right. And so what might look like a failure was really just the universe nudging him along the direction of what was more aligned for him.
And I'm sorry, I interrupted you because he loves... He thinks we need to shine a light on failure more.
Yeah,
I think we all think that too. Like, we all say it on this podcast. I've heard it a bunch of times from anyone that you've interviewed. We've said it a bunch, like, challenging our listeners to post something on Instagram that was a fail. Mm-hmm. Even, like, people will post, like, goofy, like, weird caught pictures of themselves, but the next one will be, like, in the same post, like the pretty one that they were trying to get. So that's kind of getting there, but, like, I don't know, like...
Yeah, what's your biggest failure?
When are we going to start posting our true failures of the day?
Yeah. Wow. Have you had any today?
Failure of the day. Yeah. Yeah.
You have?
Yeah. I have.
You don't want to talk about it?
No, I mean, I could talk about it.
We don't need...
I've avoided texting Mary an answer to a question she just asked me.
Yeah.
Because I cleaned the bathroom on Saturday.
Yeah.
I've been sick, and I think that's why I've been sick. Because, our bathroom was pretty disgusting. And I told her that, and she's like, well, you threw that sponge out that you used to clean the toilet, right? And I'm like, and I haven't answered her yet.
Because
I haven't.
Oh. And
it's under our kitchen sink.
Ew.
It's a failure.
Why is that a failure?
I feel like I'm gross, and I feel like I'm a gross person to live with, and I let her down.
I totally think you're gross.
Yeah. And I, let her down, and, so I just haven't answered her on that text message. And
that feels more like avoiding something, but,
I feel like a failure.
You do?
As, a roommate.
Oh,
I cleaned the bathroom, it's all nice, and then I took that and didn't throw it in the garbage.
You put it in the kitchen?
No, bathroom sink. But,
you said kitchen sink.
Underneath the sink, the bathroom sink.
Oh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I think you heard kitchen, because I would. Because that's how big a failure I am.
Well, anyway, think about, have you had any failures recently, and what do you do in your head when you feel, quote unquote, feel like you failed?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, think about that. Think about that for today.
What if I went for a run today? I have a run scheduled today in my mind, and I've been sick. And if I didn't get to the mileage that I want, sometimes I post my mileage. I'd feel like a failure. Would I post, I only got to 3.5 miles? Hey, I got to 3.5 miles today. No, I would only post it if I hit my 5 that I try and get to.
Because you consider it a failure not to reach your goal.
And I consider it a success that I did reach my goal.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And it's all arbitrary.
Yeah, I do that a lot, where I set goals for the day, and then people say, how was your day? And then my day is measured by whether or not I've met all those goals or not. Instead of measuring it by what I did accomplish.
I mean, we're that's shoved down our throats so much when we watch, you pointed out when we were watching the Olympics one time, and the gymnasts that do their floor routine or whatever, and they contorted their bodies and did this amazing thing that no one can really do, and then afterwards all the people are well, she stepped her left toe out on this line.
I'm seriously? Seriously? She just did a triple axel thing.
Right. On ice.
Yeah.
On
ice.
But she her toe went up.
Yeah. That's so true. We're always so focused on failures. What we did wrong instead of what we did right. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is comparing, because he talked a lot about comparing, and I just think it's important to. I think this is for freshmen who are just moving in. All you're doing is comparing yourself to everyone else. Am I like them? Am I not like them? Am I as good as them? Am I not as good as them? If you're starting a new job, you're looking around at everyone around you and am I going to measure up? Am I going to be as good?
Yeah, that's really difficult because, Mike started a new job, Brandon started a new job, and, their head's on a swivel, looking who's around them, and I think what's beautiful about corporations and businesses is, they are hiring people more nowadays than they're hiring accolades, and it's they want you there because you are different. That's why they're hiring all these people, because they are different. They see the spreadsheet in a different way than your guy next to you. So when I've been talking to Brandon and Mike, I've been be exactly who you are in this job. Ask questions and be I don't know what that is, but I do know what this is, And
that's so hard. We're so afraid to show up as ourselves.
Right, because you're comparing to, if that person knows what it is, I can't ask. Yeah. And it is the same on social media, and it is the same in college, the comparison aspect of he seems uninterested.
Well, I don't know if he's uninterested. My phone keeps buzzing, you guys. You're going to hear that in the...
No, I don't think you will.
Oh, well, anyway. I should have turned my phone off.
Maybe you will.
Maybe you'll hear that.
I'm not going to edit it, because I would consider it a failure if it was buzzing. This is the second time we recorded this.
Yeah, because the first episode...
I was wheeling around in my chair.
It was too distracting.
It was too distracting.
Now I lost my train of thought. What was I saying? You don't remember, and neither do I.
Maybe it wasn't important.
Everything I say is important.
No, I believe you.
The comparing and...
Yeah, Ashwat he's not interested in comparing.
No, okay, I don't know if I agree with that or not. But I don't know if that's true. But what I do know is that he doesn't let it stop him.
That's true. That's
So,
true.
I think we all compare ourselves.
The comparison that I think you've said this to me before, like, why can't we use comparison as inspiration and not competition?
And
right?
we can't. This is one of the root causes of girl drama is like comparing, and then they're measuring themselves against each other.
Oh,
and
guys too.
Better. Guys do. I didn't know that guys did.
Guys at the bar.
Yeah.
When they like walk in and like one guy, like, it's the reason why guys are great characters on real TV, like reality TV, because that's what that's why the Bachelorette or Bachelor in Paradise is fun to watch. You put all these dudes on an island with all these girls, and then a guy talks to the girl, and the guy turns into this like
crazy man.
Yes, just because of comparison.
Yeah, we're all so insecure.
And girl drama is the same thing. I'm interested in that.
So if we can just, like, this will be a new episode because we're going to start wrapping up, but if we can just start getting in tune with ourselves when we notice ourselves comparing and judging others. So, because really what is at the core of that is this idea that I'm somehow not good enough, there's something wrong with me, there's a problem over here, and that person has something I don't have. And it's just not true.
Yeah.
And so if we can use that as an opportunity to be inspired, like that, I want to be more like that. And if we could just focus and put our energy the way Ashwat said earlier, double down and focus on what makes you happy and what you want. Use others as inspiration to become more of who you want to be.
So, takeaways here. The idea of expectations in transitions for me, and embracing
like small steps.
Small steps. Yeah, setting yourself up to have an easeful transition.
Yeah, one small step.
Yeah, know yourself.
Yeah,
it is about knowing yourself.
Yeah, like know what you can handle. Some people can handle more. Some people can handle
right.
less. Just do what you can, and then that's the other takeaway is don't compare yourself, which is like the hardest thing in the world to do.
Yeah.
So maybe
notice.
Yeah, just notice it because you're gonna do it, but just notice when you're doing it. Build your awareness muscle around when you're doing it. Catch yourself. Make it a game.
Yeah.
Like make it really fun. Like,
yeah.
Oh, there I go again. And then
failure. Like the idea that on the other side of failure is like infinite possibilities, and it's a step forward. Failure is a step forward.
It's totally a step forward. You guys, there's no such thing as real failure.
We're not doing this again. So even if there's distracting things in there.
Well, there's like all those hammers, jackhammers outside. There's all.
Oh yeah. All right.
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to University. If you liked what you heard, I'd be absolutely thrilled for you to share with a friend, and equally grateful for you to pop over and rate and review on iTunes. It really helps. You can find more information and stay in touch over at university.u on Instagram or at University on Facebook. I'll look forward to seeing you there. If you'd like support in navigating the stress and chaos, and you're ready to create a more fulfilling college experience, I offer live weekly group coaching calls every Thursday, 4 to 5 Central Time. It's a place to gather together, to be seen and heard, to reduce your stress and learn how to be in control of your life and create a life you love. Give the first week a try for free. Check it out. For more information, email me at annmarie.university@gmail.com or click the link in the show notes below.